my legs around if I can, lift my hips, and then I guess I'm gonna try to get them off.
Right. And do it. Okay, cool. So now let's, right, give him a parting gift. Okay, back to it. Kung Fu Chronicles, it's time to kick off yet another episode of Debunk the Junk. And yes, thanks again for all that support for the past episodes. Hopefully you guys are getting good value out of the content we've been putting up. And if you have, do me that big favor and smash that like button below. It's so free to do that, just like subscribing. Wink, wink. And of course, comment down below, let us know what other self-defense techniques you'd like us to cover moving forward. Now, Debunk the Junk, episode 3. Is that 3? Yeah, cool. I'll put the other 2 links down below if you've missed the other episodes. But if you do want to play a little catch up, I'll have the links for those up here as well. Okay, if you don't know by now, the series is all about putting a critical eye on self-defense techniques, namely women's self-defense techniques. Hey ladies. Yes, we're stress testing to find out what works and what doesn't, and or how to make a given technique a little more practical so you can use it under pressure. And make sure you stay to the end of this video so you can get the women's perspective on whether these specific techniques work or not. Once again, we're headed back to the village to check in with my man Sifu Gus and his amazing staff to test another technique from the video, 5 self-defense moves that every woman should know, which of course I'll link below for reference. So ready? Let's go. So, third example, all right? We're basically going from the point, if you've tripped, fallen, whatever, somehow you're on the ground, this is the attack position. So we're gonna show this position. It's obviously on the ground. It's a crappy position. You don't wanna be there. So the choke's coming in, SOV's in the guard, and then we'll do a textbook first, just like the video.
And he's managed to take control of you, and now he's trying to choke you, okay? So I would control both the elbows and push down. Yep. Then I would put my legs up over your shoulders. Right. And I would bring my hips up. Okay.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Put my arms here, pull them down, wrap my legs around if I can, lift my hips, and then I guess I'm gonna try to get them off.
Right. And do it. Okay, cool. So now let's, right, give him a parting gift. There you go. All right, and so now let's try it again. And obviously now SOV on this one, you're gonna give her, you're gonna pressure test it, give her a little more pressure. No, you're gonna do the move if it works for you, obviously, but if not, you're gonna adapt it and you're gonna do it, village style if it doesn't work. There you go.
Right, let me try, no, let's do the, I wanna do what they're doing to see if you actually don't want me to be able to fight you back. Are you in a position right now that you can get the upper hand on me?
I can twist you. Okay, so I'm gonna try one more. I'm gonna be the SOV on this one.
That's not what I would do.
Okay, that's fine. And I'm gonna try, and then you're gonna do whatever you want now, okay? So I'm gonna just be a little more aggressive here. So, and then I'll give you some more resistance. So here, I'm trying to choke you. Yeah.
You do what these girls are doing.
Right, do what you want. Right, okay. So it's showing basically that all sounds great when you're on the ground, but I think here's the difference, and Sifu Gus can attest to this too. There's a difference between self-defense, combat, and then of course, fighting. So my philosophy really quick is self-defense basically is you've got, well, I should say combat or sport or whatever, 2 willing participants. Self-defense, you just have one. It's really the person that's the aggressor and the person that just happens to be in the way of the aggressor, that the aggressor wants to, you know, like do something bad to. That being said, if you're on the ground, are you really trying to do some kind of jiu-jitsu style thing to get out? Maybe not. I think the first thing, like you're saying, Sifu Julie, you gotta address the fact that you're on the ground, you wanna get up. So by any means necessary, you're doing that, and you're gonna fight and scratch and do that, versus trying to get your hips up on me. If you can, cool, but if you can't, start hitting again.
Right, well, and I, ultimately, since my hands were free, I would wanna try to get up to your eye. If you don't know I'm gonna do that before you can pull away to get up. So
absolutely.
At least then I could maybe get you off me.
There you go, great point. We're gonna do our version, but it's kind of, I wanted to show just a couple of things on the ground. Will this work, will this not work? But things I saw, I just kind of wanted to add into this. So I'm in the crappy position this Gus showed me. The first thing I want to address too is if you really showed me and start choking me, So the first thing I want to address is if you're really choking me, like Sifu Gus is really choking me here, do I really have the time to struggle and press his arms down like this? Maybe, maybe not. But in the time that I'm struggling, he's choking me, and it only takes about 6 to 8 seconds to get completely choked out, maybe if you're lucky. 3 to 5 and you can be completely out, depending on if it's a blood choke or any other kind of choke, all right? But a straight choke like this, maybe 6 to 8 seconds before I lose air. Do I really want to struggle like this? And I'm struggling. So in that point, am I panicking? I'm like, oh, am I gonna pass out, or am I trying to do something else? So what I'd say, I'll leave things up to kind of like everyone's own objective eye, but if that choke were to come in on, but realistically, I've got 2 hands. Instead of trying to push down with both, I can use one to strike straight away. Why don't I simply go underneath, use my legs as a stop here, at least one foot can jam into his hip. From here I can hip escape, turn to one side or the other, and then I can also use my leg to push away. I want to ferociously use my leg to kick off from him, break the choke, and then while there's an opening, perhaps just throw a kick, throw 2, throw 3, whatever it takes, get ultra violent again, get up, get out of there. All right, so with that, I'm gonna let Sifu Gus and the SOV do their thing.
And just from a leverage standpoint, right? If I'm here, right, and I would do it, you know, some people grab and they pull. The problem with this concept is if he's bigger and stronger, I want it to be a little bit more violent, right? And then, because violence create a shocking reaction, right? So when he grabs me, boom, there's my strike right there, right? And he's not going to see it because the brain is going to go to the thing that's the most shocking, not the most painful, and that's the slap on the arm. That's the slap on the arm. So when you're doing something like that, I always say, what is the element of violence you're going to add to it? And I know that sounds like a crazy word that keeps coming out of my mouth, but from a person who's been attacked before over and over again, what you have to understand is when I tried to compete with someone, it didn't work so well. When I accepted the concept of I'm going to take him out, then it changed everything. Because not only changed everything in my body, it changed everything in my intent. And my intent is different. So that's kind of how we would address it.
All right, so ladies, once again, the third technique we did this time from the ground, obviously a very crappy place to be. Nobody wants to be there. But your thoughts on this technique, if it works, if it doesn't, your ideas about it?
Since I was the one who had to try it, it's a lot of work.
Yep.
A lot of work, and I didn't feel like I was really doing anything to disable him. I certainly at that point hadn't gotten him off me yet. And so you and Sifu Gus did talk about the element. I mean, I have 2 hands still, even though they're choking me, but my first instinct is to get up and punch to the throat, poke him in the eye. I want them off me.
Yeah, for sure. Hit something vital, for sure.
And they weigh lots more than me. So, and the other issues are typically their shoulders are pretty broad, so my short legs wrapping around to give the leverage, like Sifu Julia, it's a lot of work. Just find a vital real quickly. Kick them off you if you need to, because your legs are stronger than your arms, and we would say probably try not to get in that position in the first place.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, right.
I mean, we're all saying the same thing, but it is essential. We have to have the pain factor. I mean, my Sifu used to say, what if your attacker's on PCP and they're just like super mad out of their minds, or what if they don't feel pain? We have to understand the human body and how to break it down, and we're going to go for the quickest targets that we can to disable and get away.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think I can't stress it more. Obviously, on the ground is one of the worst positions. Don't be there in the first place. But, you know, it's real world. Say you trip over a rock, someone's coming at you, whatever. But you have to at least be able to address when you are on the ground. But my thing, when I teach students too, it's like my main thing, I'm on the ground, I want to get up off the ground as soon as possible. I do not want to be there. It's not a sport. It's not. On the street, you know, it's kill or be killed. You know, it's like Sifu Gus is saying, we want to get home safe. That's our main priority. In the gym, in the dojo, in the kun, it's great to do a lot of the stuff and work it out, and we're not knocking anybody. But on the street, it's really, you've got to have the mentality, like you ladies are saying, strike first, hit a vital, strike again, strike even harder. you know, you've got to trump the violence with more violence.
Right, you
And
don't
that's
give up till you're free.
absolutely, you stay in the fight. And so that's great. But ladies, thanks so much for doing this with us today.
Thank you.
So it's great to go over some techniques with you guys today. I wanted to address that last one on the ground. Sifu, Julie, a couple observations that you particularly were thinking of, or stuff that you.
Well, and first, actually, let me even say, because just in this time, you know, I don't particularly like being filmed or on camera, so I'm not under serious threat, and I was nervous. So imagine if you are really under threat for your life, or you're going to be raped. So your system is going to be like, oh my God, what do I do?
Adrenaline's pumping.
I did the move the way the girls had done it, and I was actually shocked I was able to get my legs around him. I don't practice that at all, and lift him up, and I think I rolled him over, but I haven't done anything to him. What's going to keep him from continuing to attack me? So I have not disabled him to the point where I can then leave. So that's, I think, a big issue. I need to get him in a position where he cannot continue to attack me.
Especially if it's someone big, or like Sifu Gus, even myself, someone that's got that size advantage over you. We were kind of saying, even off camera, size does matter. So that's a great point, and that's why I had you address it, because the thing with this video, guys, is it's great to have these techniques and a lot of tools in your toolbox, but if we're not getting violent enough and trumping that aggression with our own, plus having some sort of way to get up and finish things. The fight doesn't start, like you're saying, if you toss someone off you, they come back again, you're back to where you started. You did all that work for nothing,
and actually,
right?
Quasi, you just said something that rang a bell in my head. So you said tools in your toolbox.
Yes.
So as far as women go and self-defense, you cannot just take a self-defense class and feel proficient. I'm saying this after years of practicing the art of village fighting. You have to practice it over and over and over to be proficient.
Agreed. Anything else to add, Sifu Gus?
Yeah, when you start taking advice from people, get in an environment where you can actually practice them realistically, as realistic as you can get. Because, you know, I remember one day walking into a Barnes & Noble, and there was this guy, and you know those guys, they never really trained, or they trained right until they got hard and then they quit.
Right.
He was one of those guys like, yeah, you know, when you do self-defense, you do this, and he saw me, and he knew who I was, he just stopped. He goes, well, maybe you should ask that guy. I'm like,
Okay.
like, you shouldn't be giving advice.
Right.
You know, you and I are alike in this concept of, if you're training hard, what I love about Quasi is he's always training. He always telling me about his training. I'm always telling him about my training. All these years later, we're still constantly trying to improve ourselves.
Still learning.
And for somebody who's taking advice from somebody who's not constantly improving themselves, can get a little sketchy. So if you have any, you have any questions, contact Quasi.
Absolutely. But you too, man. You were official on this, and I love that you brought that up. So for the last technique, I know you guys want to chime in, but survey says. Here's the caveat on this, though. Like I said, there's a difference between sport fighting, self-defense. On the floor, if you're in a BJJ class or whatever, those things can work, especially like the locking that we addressed before, even the chinna, the joint locks and manipulate. All that stuff works, but you've got to have some sort of setup, because no one's gonna stay there if you grab your arm. No one's just gonna be like, okay, come on with me, buddy, come on with me. You know, realistically, dude, it's gonna be something violent, something aggressive. So you have to be able to trump that violence.
Right.
And I think that's my
And
point
if you're not practicing that, I mean, think about it. When he grabbed me like he just grabbed me, yeah, this is a feel. You have to get past the emotional content first before you can even address what you know. You can't even get to your tools. Your tools are out of reach if your emotions just take you all over the place. I've watched seasoned martial artists do kind of like the ghetto girl thing. I'm like, whoa,
right.
Where did that come from? And when you're practicing self-defense, you have to practice that aspect of it as well, because a lot of people sell self-defense. A lot of it have a hard time working in reality.
All right, my friends, so another episode, Debunk the Junk. Had a good time with you.
That was great. That was fun.
And again, we looked at some women's self-defense techniques, kind of gave it a pass or fail based on the fact of reality factors and practicality and stuff. And are you gonna be in a situation where you're just gonna be able to do these cool moves, or are you gonna have to, kind of rev it up and get more aggressive and get more violent? And the answer probably to me is you're gonna have to get more violent, get more aggressive. So again, guys, talking about training, if you guys want to do some serious training, I suggest you head on down to the village right here. Sifu Gus Gates does it 5-6 times a week, 7 days a week. What's the schedule looking like, brother?
It's looking good. It's looking good. So if you want, you can go to gusgates.com or thevillagewithgusgates.com. We have a schedule up there. You're welcome to come in, try a class, and see if you like to get down with this village life.
Guys, make sure we're gonna do more of these. Stay tuned for that. Check out a few other videos you may like while you're here. If you haven't already, subscribe down below. Let us know you're liking the video so we can make more of them. And of course, stay safe. See you guys in the next round. Keep punching.